Hello everyone, welcome to Roma Theory Transfer News today. Massive transfer news today because Pinto's actually already starting to work on deals. He has completed some deals and he's working around many names. Now obviously we're at that stage of the transfer window where the transfer window still hasn't opened, and obviously you will see plenty of names being linked with us. However, Thiago Pinto's started his work well because we are linked with some good names. He has completed a few deals, which is what we will focus on today, having completed Aouar and DICKA, and moving on to other sections such as the midfield, the striker, which is going to be the most critical position this summer now following Tammy's ACL injury, which by the way, he's had his surgery literally a few hours out, successful surgery. Tammy will be back in 8/9 months. As I said previously, he'll be back in March, April 2024. That is basically being out for a season. We need a good striker because we need goals, especially now that one of our strikers cannot be sold and the same striker cannot be utilized throughout the season. But yeah, look, I think the first impression here is that we've started off really well, and this is because Pinto obviously needs to impress Mourinho. That's the first logic of this process. Roma is without a doubt the team out of all the Serie A teams which is the most active in the transfer window right now. Is this because we will, it will be like this for the entire summer? No, it won't. I think there are two main reasons of why Thiago Pinto is very active on the transfer window right now. The first reason is because the more players we get before the preseason, the better. And the second reason is because when you have the manager who has had a meeting with the ownership, and the manager and the ownership both decided to continue together following the same path. When you've got Mourinho wanting to stay and accepting a new challenge, and the ownership obviously telling Mourinho, I want to continue with you. There were in fact rumors that the Fredkins offered Mourinho a renewal, an extension even after 2024, which is something which we'll discuss in the next couple of days. When you've got big news, which are the basis of everything, you need to have the general director, the general manager, which kind of impresses the manager and makes him proud of why he is staying, and kind of makes his decision, kind of builds around Mourinho's decision of staying at Roma. So there are four players which I'm going to talk about today. I want to talk about Aouar, I want to talk about DICKA, I want to talk about Telemons, and I want to talk about Icardi. And then towards the end, I also want to share a few things on what we mentioned yesterday, and how obviously Thiago Pinto needs to have a 30 million capital gain by the 30th of June, and how Ibanez and a lot of the players which we sent on loan this season could leave. I think we can start with Aouar, because Aouar is completed. Aouar has signed his contract. Aouar will become the first signing of Roma's summer window. This is something which we already mentioned a few times. Aouar, basically, Thiago Pinto completed the Aouar deal when we were about to play the Feyenoord quarterfinal. So this is a player which we have followed since quite a lot of time. I remember we followed Aouar last season as well, so this is a player which Roma have been following for quite a few seasons. It's not a deal that Thiago Pinto has completed in these last couple of days. It's a deal which Thiago Pinto has completed a few weeks ago. Now we have the confirmation. Aouar has signed his contract with Roma. He has underwent medical checkups, and apparently, this is said by Di Marzio, he was spotted in Rome today to try and find a house. So Aouar is done. And a few words on Aouar. I think it brings that creativity. I think Aouar, yes, don't get me wrong, has not been playing much lately at Olympique Lyon, but I think Aouar has got an exceptional talent, and he has definitely shown this talent 2 years ago. Then he's had an injury, and he's not been the same Aouar for the past 2 seasons, which is the reason why his value dropped, and it's also the reason why the competition kind of decreased. I truly believe Mourinho can rebring the Aouar we saw 2 years ago. We did the same with Smalling. Remember when Smalling came? When Smalling came to Roma, everybody was like, oh, he's never going to be the same player. Smalling was a bang average player when he came, very injury prone, came to Roma, and look at what Smalling is now. One of the most, in fact, the most fundamental player in this team in terms of leadership and all of that. So I think Aouar is definitely going to bring creativity up front. He's great with his feet, brings the ball forward, has goals and contributions. I think it's a great start for Roma's summer window. And again, something which I will say about Aouar, which, don't get me wrong, I said this with Matic as well, and I got proved wrong. I got proved very, very wrong. I'm going to say this again with Aouar. I think Aouar is going to be a rotational player. Now, not to the levels of someone like Solbakken. Aouar is going to play a lot of games this season, but I don't think he will be in that starting lineup. Because I think Mourinho and I myself would prioritize Pellegrini, obviously Dybala, and when you've got midfielders like Matic, like Cristante, which are coming from an incredible season, I don't think Aouar will be in the starting lineup, but he will play a lot of games. And as we've already said many times, if we want to compete well in both tournaments, the more squad depth, it's the most crucial thing, squad depth. So Aouar is going to become a very, very handy player. And yeah, I think the thing about Aouar is that I think it's going to be that Mkhitaryan signing, which we lacked from when we won the Conference League. When we won the Conference League, we had a very fundamental player in that team, which was Mkhitaryan. Driving the ball forward, creativity, and also bringing contributions and goals. I think Aouar will be very similar to that. So yeah, Aouar is done and completed. He's in Rome. The official statement will come in the next couple of days, I believe. And that's the first player done. The second player is DICKA. DICKA is basically another completed deal. And when I say that Thiago Pinto does need some respect sometimes, this is exactly where I mean it. Thiago Pinto has secured DICKA. Now, DICKA has said yes to Roma's offer. It's a 5-year offer. It's a 5-year deal. DICKA has accepted that. This was reported this morning by Gianluca Di Marzio, and also followed by this statement, which I'm going to read for you. Same coming from Gianluca Di Marzio. If you don't know who he is, he's a Serie A transfer market expert. So yeah, DICKA said yes to Roma's offer, which is a 5-year offer, a deal, and he also kind of developed his explanation, his article, saying this: Roma are defining the final contractual and bureaucratic details for the arrival of Evan DICKA, who will arrive on a free transfer from Eintracht Frankfurt and will sign a 5-year contract with the Giallorossi club. In 5 seasons spent in Germany, the defender totaled 170 appearances, playing several games in the Europa League, winning a Europa League, and making his debut in the last season after winning. He also made a debut in the Champions League, because Eintracht Frankfurt obviously qualified for the Champions League because they won Europa League. One detail which I want to say about DICKA, which is very important and significant, is that if you search up his statistics, there's a clinching piece of evidence there. 0 forced errors. Now that is magical, because if you look at the comparison of players and who DICKA will take the position of, which is Ibanez, it's a step up. It's a step up because you're getting a player which has 0 forced errors in the Bundesliga, and you're substituting him with a player who has plenty of forced errors, Ibanez. Now, I said this yesterday in the sell, loan, and what was it again? Keep video. We will regret selling Ibanez as a matter of fact, but we have to sacrifice Ibanez because we need the money. And DICKA is going to be a substitution, and I think you definitely have an improvement because you have a player which is way more concentrated on that ball, and has conceded 0 forced errors in the Bundesliga this season. You've got a player who's very physical and therefore will come very handy when it comes to set pieces. We love our set pieces. And then you also have a player who's left-footed, which is, as we've said many times, Mourinho's prototype centre-back. So the next season's defence will be DICKA, Mancini and Smalling. Second layer will be Kumbula if he doesn't get sold when he comes back from that injury. And yes, Llorente is going back to Leeds United and Roma do not want to spend 80 million euros, but Roma and Mourinho are very tempted in buying Llorente back, and they will sit down with Leeds United in these next couple of days to try and find an agreement. It is very, very useful to say, if Leeds United lower that price tag, Roma and Thiago Pinto will prepare an assault to re-sign Diego Llorente. Solid player, came very handy. So yeah, that is going to be our defense next season. I think he's a great player. He is the perfect player we need as a centre-back. And I absolutely love that Thiago Pinto has secured this as well. So we've got two secured players, Aouar and DICKA. And DICKA will come in these next few days. Again, so it's very, very important that we're doing this because as I said at the start, the more players we get before preseason, the better. Third player which I want to talk about is Telemons. Now again, the next two players are not secured players. The next two players are players which Thiago Pinto is very intensively working on. But Aouar and DICKA are sealed off, and to be fair play to him. We're like a little bit less than 1 month before the summer window, and we've already secured 2 players. So fair play to him. The next target is going to be Youri Telemons. I would love Youri Telemons. That's the first thing which I'll say. I would love him. He's physical. He's a playmaker. He's coming from a very competitive league. That is what we need. Love Telemons, and I love the fact that Thiago Pinto is working on this. So let's speak about Telemons, because Telemons is a big dream. It's the next step. It's the next objective. And this is yet another statement coming from Di Marzio. He shared a lot of statements this morning when it comes to Roma. Now, Telemons is a big target, as we just said, and Roma have started contact with him. And are actually in that stage of concrete talks. They have told Telemons' agents that Roma desperately want him, and Telemons is tempted by Mourinho's and Roma's pressure. However, Di Marzio said that Telemons is giving priority to Premier League clubs, meaning that his priority is to keep on playing in the Premier League. A few Premier League clubs are interested in him, so he will wait to see what Premier League clubs will present an offer to sign him, what the offer will be like, and if there is going to be an offer coming from the Premier League, which Telemons likes, he will accept that offer over our offer. He has not turned down our offer. This is very, very, very important to understand. Telemons has just given priority to the Premier League. He's not turned down our offer. He's taken his time to prepare an answer to us. I want Telemons. Telemons is the player we need. I think the important thing about Telemons, which I was reading, is that he's got a good relationship with Raja Nainggolan, one of the gods of this club. And apparently, I was reading how Nainggolan could play a pivotal part in trying to convince him to accept the Roma offer. But again, Thiago Pinto started contacts. It's reached that stage where it's concrete talks because Thiago Pinto wants him and Mourinho wants him, but he's given priority to Premier League clubs. If Premier League clubs don't prepare the offer which he wants and the project which he wants, then he will join Roma. That's basically the conclusion of everything. I do think Roma has also given an ultimatum to Telemons, because obviously we cannot wait eternity for Telemons to give us an answer. So I do think that Thiago Pinto has given him a 2-week ultimatum to try and come up with an answer and then come back to Roma and say what he wants to do. So I think in a few weeks, maybe next week even, maybe even in these next couple of days, we will understand what Telemons has decided to do. And then the last player which I want to talk about is Mauro Icardi. Now, this is a player which I'm going to spend quite a few minutes to talk about, because the striker is without a doubt the most important position in this summer window. It's by far more important than any other position. Two reasons. One reason, because we need goals, and second reason, because Tammy's out for the season, which is both effects. We can't sell him, we can't use him. There are a lot of names which Thiago Pinto has gathered. Obviously, we have Icardi, which looks like the biggest name. We've got Lukaku, which obviously is the one where more question marks will lay because of affordability and the fact that he loves Inter, wants to stay at Inter, and obviously will be playing the Champions League if he stays at Inter next season. And the third one is Mbala Nzola, which I do think is more of a second striker option. Again, something which maybe a few of you guys missed is Roma have triggered Belotti's renewal of contract. They've triggered it because he's exceeded the number of presents, of games, of appearances this season. So they have triggered the renewal to sign Belotti. I don't really understand that, but I do think Belotti, despite the fact that he doesn't score goals, is a player which Mourinho loves. Because we've always seen this season Mourinho praise Belotti so much and that fighting spirit. So Belotti is going to stay. Question is, will Belotti remain as second striker and therefore leave us fans and the manager with a big question mark because he hasn't scored goals? Or do we shift him to third striker, buy a second striker like Nzola, and then buy a big top first striker? That's the question which I'm trying to still figure out. I think if we can prepare our season with 3 different strikers, that's a massive step up when it comes to squad depth. Because if we can have an attack with, again, this is an example, Icardi as a first striker, Zola as a second striker, and Belotti as a third striker, that's great squad depth. So yeah, speaking about Icardi, apparently there are sources in Argentina which are saying that Roma have prepared an offer for Icardi to PSG, 8 million euros. Now, Icardi is a PSG player on loan from Galatasaray. No, sorry, the opposite. He's a Galatasaray player on loan from PSG. He's had a great season with Galatasaray, 22 goals in 24 games. Great statistics and all of that. I wouldn't mind him. I think he's a proven striker, knows how to score goals, and especially he's got a great past in this area. My 2 doubts on Icardi are very simple. The first one is he still playing at a level where he can do what he did in the Turkish league and bring it to the Serie A? Because he's not in his prime anymore. But he has got incredible statistics in the Turkish league. And my second big question regarding Icardi is, I want him, but I don't want his wife. Now again, I don't want this live stream to turn into Love Island or Big Brother, but I hate to say it, if Icardi comes to my team, I don't want his wife. Because his wife has ruined his reputation with many teams. Because she's a bitch. She is a blonde bitch. And yeah, again, I shouldn't say that, but that's the truth. The reason why Icardi and Inter fell out was because of his wife. Because his wife is one of those ladies which want to rule everything and wants to be in the center of everything, center of the attention. Terrible attitude, and it ruins the environment. It destabilizes the team. However, with a manager like Mourinho, I think that won't happen, and he will not let that happen. I think it's I don't know. It's one of those classic deals where he's a great player. He is a great player, but his wife is just. She's a demon. She's a demon. She's like She's the bad evolution of Charmeleon from Pokemon. His wife is his agent. I know his wife is his agent, but there are every week on those like love magazines, you've got stories of him and his wife breaking up, and then the next week you've got them two planning a trip to Disneyland with their kids, and then in the next episode of that article you've got them spitting hate to each other, and then in the next one you've got Icardi with a love, he loves an Argentinian lady, he's betrayed Vandanara, and then the week after you've got Vandanara and Icardi mad sex in the Maldives. It just doesn't make sense. And the Icardi and Vandanara situation is something which you keep in a Love Island program. I don't want that in my team. So, and again, he's one of those players which I just need to answer so many questions before actually. And again, I think the fact that it's such a critical position, because the striker is the most important position, we can't just rush everything. I want things to, take their time and see how it goes, because he's a great player. He's a great player, and he's proven himself to be a great player because he's got incredible stats. And he's a striker which, unlike many strikers around there, knows how to score goals, which is critical. It's controversial because that's what a striker needs to do. He knows how to score goals. But I want him, not his wife. So, but apparently Roma have presented the first offer. So we've made a first step. I do think buying Icardi will without a doubt mean stepping up your attack. Because as I just said, Icardi knows how to score goals. He's done it this season with Galatasaray. He's done it with Inter. He's had an off season with PSG, but look, everybody's off seasons in that dickhead team. Messi had an off season. Neymar has off seasons in that team. So everybody has off seasons at PSG. I wouldn't mind him. But if I have to choose between him and Lukaku, I would 100% choose Lukaku. Because I think Lukaku is more complete. And I've got this vision of Mourinho turning Lukaku into an animal if he comes to Roma. But obviously Lukaku's less affordable when it comes to that. Definitely. I think we all agree that we prefer Lukaku. But Icardi is not a bad shout. It's better than any other options. When it comes to Nzola, I think it's more of a second option. If we can present ourselves next season with Lukaku, Nzola, and Belotti as third option, or Icardi, Nzola, and third option, I think we're in for a shout. I think Nzola's a great player. Again, he's playing on a relegation side, so going from Spezia to Roma is a big step, and it will have consequences. But he scored 13 goals, double figure with a Spezia team. We'll be playing the relegation playoff this Saturday, and then you'll leave. So yeah, he's not bad as a second striker. I would definitely buy him as a second striker. Another option as a second striker is Arnautovic, because he was close to Milan, but now that Maldini and Massara have left, apparently Milan are not interested in him anymore. So yeah, that is what that's the transfer window right now. I'm surprised because we're linked with many names. We've probably read many other names linked with Roma. But I don't want to focus on all of them now, because we're at that stage where every single day you wake up, you see 20 different names being linked with Roma. And I think Aouar and DICKA completed. Telemons is the next objective. And apparently from Argentina, they're saying we've presented the first offer to sign Icardi. These are the four names which Thiago Pinto is currently working on. There are other names, but this is the priority right now. Simon, are we getting pre-season match live? Yes, why not? But problem is a lot of them are like in Asia, and when you play games in Asia, the time is very different from here. So again, I'm not trying to do a pre-season live watch along at 2 a.m. Sorry lads, but I really can't be bothered. Yeah, if it's a suitable time, then yes, because obviously pre-season is going to be in Italy and in Asia, Singapore, South Korea. So yeah, depends on the time there. But yeah, definitely, if there won't be live watch longs, there will definitely be match reactions on that. So yeah, we've got a preseason to enjoy, transfer window to enjoy, entertaining videos to enjoy. If you enjoyed today's stream, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I'm so happy with these two signings. I can't wait to get an Aouar Roma jersey next season. Been a fan of him for years, and now he's Roma. He's Roma. It's doable. It's a doable win. We can't rely on goals all the time from Dybala, especially with his injury history. Aouar and DICKA are great starts. If we get all four, I'm gonna be super hyped. I will too. I think I would love Telemons. Out of all these, the next one I really want is Telemons. I absolutely love him as a player. I have a feeling Pinto is trying to sell Volpato to Sassuolo in order to contribute to the 30 million. Could be. Yeah. We haven't talked about it, but Ibanez, Kluivert, Shomurodov, Carles Perez, these are all players which are going to be sacrificed to make that 30 million capital gain by the 30th of June. And Zola or Telemans, different positions, but I think the priority has to be a striker. But when you put those two names next to me, I have to go with Telemans. So yeah, look, I'm gonna catch you who are upcoming. We're playing Spurs, we're playing Wolverhampton, we're playing Celtic, we're playing a South Korean team. I would like João Pedro. João Pedro's going to Brighton. What about wingers? I don't know. These are the names we're linked with right now. So yeah, if you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I'll catch you there very soon. Simon, out. And by the way, let me know in the comments of the video thoughts on the general transfer window right now. Thoughts on DICKA and Aouar, and also thoughts on Icardi, Telemons, and all of these players. So yeah, catch you soon. Simo, out.